Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Slain mother and daughter, Toshna Patterson and 10-month-old Sahara Powell celebrated at memorial. Family and friends yesterday gathered at the Jamaica Restoration Breakthrough PhD Ministries in Portmore, St. Catherine, to pay tribute at a memorial for slain mother and daughter, Toshna Patterson, and her 10-month-old daughter, Sahara Powell. The infant was the daughter of opposition lawmaker Philip Polwell. Patterson, 27, was remembered as a loving and caring mother and a kind friend. Her child was described as special and jovial. The family expressed thanks to the overwhelming support it has received. It was also shared that amid the pain and grief, the family has found solace in God's love and mercy. The mother and her child were abducted outside their St. Catherine home on September 9 and taken to East Kingston, where they were shot to death and their bodies burned and disposed of. 4 persons were later charged with their deaths, 2 of whom have pleaded guilty and have been sentenced to prison. The 2 other defendants, Leoda Bradshaw, the American companion of Powell, and her cousin, Roland Balford, remained before the court. They are booked to return to court on March 6 next year. Bradshaw, a 34 U.S. Navy officer, is accused of plotting the murder. Bradshaw is also alleged to have paid $100,000 in the U.S. currency equivalent to the hitmen as part of a down payment for the Jamaica $500,000 hit. With the help of her cousin and co-defendant Balford, Bradshaw reported the contracted men, including Rashawn Miller and Richard Brown, to kidnap and murder the mother and daughter. Police seek public assistance in probe into skull found in Portmore. Detectives assigned to the Portmore Criminal Investigations Branch CIB are seeking the public's assistance with their probe into the discovery of a skull that was found on an open lot at an entertainment center in Portmore, St. Catherine on Thursday, December 14. Reports are that 9:30 a.m., a laborer was employed to the clean-up area in preparation for an event when he stumbled upon the skeleton remain and contacted the police. On their arrival, the skull was seen. The scene was processed and the skull was removed to the morgue pending post-mortem examination. Investigators are appealing to anyone with information that can assist them to contact the Portmore CIB at 876-949-8431, Police 119 emergency number, Crime Stop at 311, or the nearest police station. Prime Minister Andrew Holness seeks to clarify hate speech comment. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has sought to clarify his recent statements about hate speech. The Prime Minister said earlier that the government would be taking steps to clamp down on hate speech, which was meant the backlash for different groups such as the church. Speaking at the Citizen Security Business Group meeting in Kingston, Mr. Holness said Jamaica's stance against the hate speech would relate to the issue of violence and not as the Europeans would have used it in their jurisdiction. He said the stance against hate speech may not be regulation, but a program of public education.
The world in which we live in gives far more opportunities for the promotion of violent speech. So really what I'm targeting and what I would want us to talk about is not necessarily hate speech as the Europeans may have used it in their jurisdiction, or other people may have tried to use it in their jurisdiction, for our problems that we have. And that's what I want us to focus on. We tend to drag ourselves into other people's issues. Focus on what is the issue here in Jamaica, and that is the use of violent speech. Now, it may not necessarily be legislation, but it may be a concerted program of public education to educate particularly our parents about how they speak to their children. Because I cannot understand it why some parents would want to use such, let's forget about the corporal punishment for a bit, but just the use of violent terms to their children. It's as if we're teaching them to normalize violence. And it's as if nobody sees it, the people who I expect to come out and speak about that instead of speaking about other things, they don't speak about that.
St. Catherine woman fined for electricity theft. 2 women were on Friday fined for electricity theft in St. Catherine Parish Court. Senior Parish Court Judge Yvette Wentworth Miller finds Kirwana Dennis $70,000 or 30 days imprisonment for obstruction of electricity. Alisa Folders, who was also charged with obstruction of electricity, was fined $150,000 or 6 months imprisonment. Davis was originally fined $150,000, but she begged for leniency, telling the judge that she is a mother of 3-month-old baby. The arresting officer intervened in her support, telling the court that she is indeed a young mother and that she has shown remorse for her action. Both women were held during an operation in Spanish Town where illegal electricity connections were discovered at their premises. They were arrested and charged. Police on edge. Simmering anger within the Jamaica Constabulary Force of its ranks could lead to a head-on collision with the government over the state's failure to move the needle on negotiations for a better increase in on-call allowance. Senior Superintendent of Police SSP Wayne Cameron, who chairs the Police Officers Association POA, which represents gazetted officers from the rank of the superintendent to commissioner, told reporters on Saturday that the government has not responded since the association rejected an offer of 15% increase in the allowance last month. As such, his colleagues, he said, were rested. December, festive season, no added money, the officers are not happy, and with good reason, because traditionally, the practice is that when December comes around, we would get a little money here or there. There is no money, so they are rightfully restive, SSP Cameron stated. Reporters had contacted Cameron after seeing his communication to POA members, in which he said that the discussion around on-call allowance is now at a troubling juncture. In that letter, Cameron outlined that the offer of the 15% increase across all ranks was made by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark in a telephone discussion early last month. He said the POA executive discussed the offer, but flatly refused it on the basis that it was battery, given that the POA's proposal is for the allowance to the increase of 40% of basic salary. The minister promised that he would return to us timely and that he requests the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of National Security to sit in our next meeting, Cameron stated. Since then, the POA has not gotten a new offer, neither a new meeting date. This is because despite several communications to Mr. Wayne Joseph, Deputy Finance Secretary, the Minister himself, and other members of the bargaining unit, Cameron said in the note to the POA members, pointing out that the service base is now 20% of basic salary, while the on-call allowance is at an average of 8.5% of basic salary. Cameron said the 15% offer is an insult in the officer corps and will be moving up to by less than 7%. In his discussion with reporters, Cameron explained that the salary increases granted under the government's compensation review in April this year resulted in an erosion of the on-call allowance from 20% of basic salary to its current average of 8.5%. Before the compensation review, it formed a substantial portion of an officer's salary package. No, it doesn't, he said. We are saying to the government, we need to fix this. He said that unlike cops in the junior ranks, police officers are not placed on an overtime system as they are regarded as always at work. When an officer is not at his desk, he's at home. The moment you take up the phone and call him, he's actually working. So the on-call allowance is for the extended hours and for inconvenience placed on an officer as a manager, because I could be doing my private thing when you call me, but I have to put that down to address the situation that I am now being called upon to, either to clarify a situation, to give advice, or to give instructions, he explained. So we need to get this allowance back up to where it was or above, he told reporters. We're saying that the fact that we do extended hours, adding hours, and we can be called at any time, then the on-call allowance must be given attention. If we are working at the executive level, and then we should be paid at the executive level, he argued. Cameron, in his note to the POA members, said that at the last headings of the agreement, the stated for outstanding allowances should have been settled from June 30, 2023. This means that the Minister of Finance and Public Service is not only in breach of our agreement, but has been displaying little or no regard to this bargaining process, he stated. Also, given the fact that we are now in the middle of the festive season, officers have legitimate expectation to see a difference in their salary package. I just advise officers that the POA executive is contemplating its next move as the next week approaches. We'll also advise as soon as possible in response, it said. Asked when the executive would next meet with POA members, Cameron didn't give a date. However, he said if they do not get an answer soon, that meeting is on the horizon. Please remember to subscribe, like,